Hey there, Fit Fam. Welcome to the only podcast where we're breaking the mold and rewriting the rules. I'm here to debunk the myths, spill the tea, and serve a hefty dose of reality. No matter where you're at in your journey, we've got something for everybody. So buckle up because we're about to unleash the basics in the most unapologetic way possible. From shedding pounds to embracing your inner badass, I'm here to remind you that skinny is so last season and the basics are anything but boring. So grab your favorite piece of protein and your water bottle and get ready to be empowered, entertained, and educated because being a basics bitch has never looked this good. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Call Me Skinny. This is a Monday episode. We are not doing a Muscle Monday today. We are doing a cool interview, and I'm really excited today. These are some of my favorite people literally in the whole freaking fracking world. They are my group coaching ladies, some of them. Some of them are in the past, some of them are current, and hopefully those that are listening are some of my future, if you will. But I'm really excited with them to be here today. So ladies, thank you for joining me. We're going to talk a little bit about what group coaching is. A lot of people don't necessarily understand it. And in virtual coaching in general, a lot of people don't understand what virtual coaching is. People think I get on a Zoom with people and help them work out, or I get on a Zoom with people and tell them what to eat, or walk around with them and smack things virtually out of their hands. And that is not what group coaching is. It's not what virtual coaching is. It is a space where we get together as a community. It's a space where I coach as a group. So all of our check-ins are done in as a group. Everybody gets to hear everybody's feedback because we can learn a lot from each other. And as I've mentioned in the past, this is kind of my baby. This is my Black Friday deal this year, but this is the thing that I really enjoy getting on and doing. I love getting on and educating and I don't know, just like being with them. It's inspiring to me, and they teach me so much more than probably I ever teach them because they bring out so much things that I don't get to talk about on a daily basis or think about on a daily basis, and they're in there and they're in the grind doing the things. So ladies, thank you for joining me today. I'm going to go ahead and kind of have each person introduce themselves so you guys get a kind of history of maybe like where they came from, how they got into group coaching. And we're going to actually start with our longest group coach member, Chrisy. She has been with me for over, it's like almost a year and a half, almost, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't even know, like, it's been such a long time since our very first call. Like, I think you found me on TikTok or Instagram or something. Is that what it was? Right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Okay. So why don't you tell a little bit about how you got here and what is it about group coaching that you just continue to go with?
I got into group coaching because I found you, and it was right when you were starting the group coaching, and it was essentially financially feasible way for me to get everything in order that I needed to get healthy at. I needed help with and guidance and all that. And I knew financially I couldn't afford someone one-on-one, which I probably need, but I knew I couldn't. So I got into your group coaching, and I have stayed.
She has stayed.
With a little hiatus that I took back in January.
Yes.
And then jumped right back in.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I like it because you get to meet other people that are in the same boat as you. You get to meet different ways that people not struggle, but struggle. You get to learn everybody's nuances, and you get to realize that you're not alone in the struggle bus most of the time. It's not, we are all in the weight struggle. We're all in the food relationship struggle. And it's nice to know that we're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, how often do we post things and it's like, man, I'm feeling the same way, or man, I struggled with that last week, or man, I did this thing over here and I dealt with the same thing, or I can't get my workout in, or I'm struggling. Just showing up for myself sometimes is the struggle. Just like getting in there and grinding it out, you know? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All the time.
All the time. It is. Like, I always say that it is a conscious choice. Even for me, 8 years later, it's a conscious choice that you have to wake up and make. It's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. Awesome. Gwen, we're going to go ahead and go to you. You've been with me, I think, just about a year now, I think. And we got on a call too. And let's talk about how you found me and how come you joined.
I think I originally found you because I somehow stumbled across your podcast.
Oh.
And I think I had been listening to your podcast for maybe a year.
Uh-oh.
And maybe. So I was listening to a lot of it, and a lot of it was hitting home, and I was looking for different. I always felt myself I was a career dieter.
Career dieter.
I've been doing it for years. Tried just about everything, and it works in the moment. But I was looking for something that was going to help me long term, help me understand the relationship with food and the relationship with moving my body and the emotional portion of it. And you started talking about I think it was the one I jumped into was the one right before Thanksgiving and Christmas. I think that was the one I first jumped into. And I remember jumping into it thinking, I am just absolutely crazy trying to jump into a group coaching, trying to diet during the holidays. I must be insane.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I have enjoyed all of it, the ups and downs. Even when, you think you just can't do it anymore, reaching out to the group and getting the encouragement saying, yes, you deserve it. You're killing it. I absolutely love all of the weekly meetings, the updates we get, even our check-ins. I get so much from everybody else too. That just the encouragement from everybody to just keep going.
Yeah. What you brought up a really good point. This is a time of year where the most of the people say, I'm too busy. I have too many parties. I have too much going on with my kids. There's too many holiday things happening. There's too many. What would you say to somebody who believes this to be true that says, it's just too busy. It's too hard of a time for me to start right now. I don't have the time.
I have that person, and many a time saying, I'm just too busy. I can't listen to the call. I can't do this. But I found myself that I have to just make time for myself. I deserve it. I'm worth it, and I will be better. And a lot of times I will listen to the calls. I'll listen to the replays on my way to work or on my way home from work. So I purposely been trying to find time for myself.
Yeah. I have no idea if you guys can even see my face. I feel like my computer is glitching right now. Is it glitchy?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So my apologies. I don't know what's going on. Yay, technology. Gotta love it. We're going to keep going though. Okay. So, yeah, I think that that's a really important key piece of this. And I always talk about the fact that if you can do it in the hardest, most busy times of the year, it's going to prep you for when life keeps lifing. That's my phrase. I love it. Life keeps lifing. And it's going to prep you for those moments in which you don't feel like you can, or that you never have in the past been able to put yourself before everything else because it's just been too busy or too hard or too much going on, or it's just not the right time or whatever else. She's not kidding when she said, like, I literally jumped into it. Like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking hopping into a container literally before Thanksgiving? That doesn't make sense for most people, right? Also, again, doing it just because you know that it's something that you can and need to do, then that's a reason enough. So I love that you're here with me. Thank you. Okay. Our last guest today here is Ashley. Ashley is a longtime friend of mine. So Ashley, tell me a little bit about your why you joined group coaching and your experience with it.
Awesome. Yeah, I've known Sarah for a very long time. And I was thinking about this as people are going around. I'm like, I've been in the fitness industry before. That was my work for a long time. And I know a lot of really good trainers. And even though Sarah's a great friend of mine, my bestie, it doesn't mean that I would feel obligated to choose her. But I truly believe that Sarah is an expert. And her and I are so on the same page when it comes to health and fitness and wellness and looking at it from such a great perspective. And I've learned so much. Even though I'm one to do my own research, I feel like Sarah is like my expert, because there's so much information out there that is all over the place, right? It's like, do this, actually don't do that. You should fast. Actually, you shouldn't fast. And it's like, how do we know what's true? And that's what I love about group coaching and having Sarah as a resource is like, I need someone to like debunk the myths for me, because as also like Gwen, somebody who has like been a career dieter, my life too, it's like just the information changes. So like, that's one thing I love, just one about having a trainer in general as a resource. So, and then two, I love the community aspect of it, because I think that we all do kind of have very similar challenges with things. It's just in our own way. It's like great to know that we're not alone doing the thing. Right. And I've loved the foundations, like the basics, I think are so key, because it's like, I've learned so much. So even when I've had to take a hiatus because my life, I just felt like I needed to like step back and do things differently. I'm still taking those basics that I learned and making it just like, I'm not overthinking it anymore. And I think that's like my biggest takeaway from what I've learned from you, Sarah, and from group coaching in general. It's like, don't overcomplicate things. Like, it doesn't have to be so much work. And even like to the point of people are being busy in the holiday, and it's like, it's not though. It's like, we're just making changes to our lifestyle to make it like, I can do this as an everyday thing. It doesn't have to be looked at like this mountain to climb. Like, we're just taking steps in the right direction. And I just absolutely love that.
Gotcha.
So,
awesome. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Can I share our little conversation that we had the other day where you almost got pulled into a little thing really fast, and then you're like, no. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ashley was sharing with me the other day, she has a friend where she lives that's like, we'll call her a career dieter as well. And she literally was kind of the same thing where she was saying like, oh, I'm going to do, the Whole30 again. And Ashley's like, oh yeah, I could really do that again. Cause Ashley has a history. And actually she's been on my podcast before, like a long time ago. So you could, I don't even know what episode it was way back when, but you could go back and listen to it. And she talks about her journey and things, her health journey. And part of that, was Whole30 when she was trying to cut out specific things out of her diet. And she was really trying to quote unquote get healthy. And so her friend was trying to tell her like, hey, you should do Whole30 with me. And she's like, yeah, I could do that again. And then she was like, no, actually, I don't want to do that again. Can you tell me a little bit about why you chose not to do that?
So the reason that I felt like sometimes I like to do a Whole30, or I did in the past, was like I needed a just like hard reset of if my life and my dieting life is like a pendulum, I had been like so far over to the other side where I didn't care what I was eating, and I was like zero care. I'm going to eat everything I wanted. And I felt like I needed to swing the pendulum so far in the other direction that I had to go like fully extreme with like, I can only eat these things because I know that I'm going to like feel better and lose weight again and all this stuff. And then I was like, Ashley, stop. Like, can we just focus on one thing, which is protein? And that's what I decided to do. I was like, let me just focus on my protein. Let me just take it back to literally the first thing that Sarah taught me, which was, let's just focus on one macro and like water. And now I'm not counting macros again yet, but I've reeled it back into a very good place of balance where I feel more, I'm not going to say like intuitive eating, because I also feel, like whatever, some of these terms I'm just like, meh. But I feel so much more in control. And then also like that I'm worth making these decisions for. Like, I think it all came together of like, I'm worth doing better for. And now I'm going to make this one change. And so not only am I focusing on protein, I'm also focusing on like vegetables and fiber and now water. So it's like just helped me get back on track without taking it to extreme where I have these boundaries and these boxes and this like shame of eating certain things because, I'm not able to. So I guess I'll just say that about it.
I'll say that about it. Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense where that is our MO. Like, I think everybody that's on this call, myself included, can say every time we restarted, quote unquote, with extremes, right? No carbs, no sugar, no this, no that, can't have this, not allowed. And then every time you go back into it, it's like, well, crap, by Wednesday, you're just like, okay, well, I'm ready to go just bathe in a Milky Way because I just want some sugar. I just want some candy and I can't have it and I'm not allowed to eat it. And so with that being said, Chrissy, I'm going to kind of come back to you because you've been kind of here the longest. And some people might assume that with group coaching, you're hearing the same like constant thing, right? Like let's say, we talk about this and we talk about protein and we talk about water and we talk about, the basics all of the time, right? Can you elaborate a little bit on like how it's the same but different, maybe?
It's like the same book, but a different chapter. It's the basics. You have your protein, your water, your movement, all your things that you need, but it's talked about in a different way that you're not bored with it. Hearing it again, the resource is the same, which is you, Sarah. It's just a different way of explaining it every time. I've been in it 6 sessions now, I think. And I've heard the same core things, the same basic things, but every time it's explained, I pick up on a little different nuance of it. It hits me a little differently. It sinks in farther that I'm able to recall it easier, kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. It's not just the same old ABCD every single time. It's different. It's every time is different. Every conversation is different, but the same.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me because I talk about it. And that's what a lot of people think. And they assume that part of what they don't like to do is ask questions because they feel like, well, somebody's either already asked that question or you're probably tired of answering this question or this question seems so kind of silly. And the reality is I could literally answer the same question 17 times a day and I would be happy as a clam because that's what I love to talk about. And every time I answer that question, it's going to be different because the person that it applies to is not the same person. And therefore the answer would be not the same. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. Like I could literally talk about this stuff all day, every day. Ashley and I talk about this stuff all day, every day, like outside of anything. Gwen, what would you say about that? Like the fact that you're kind of hearing the same things. You've been in it for a year. How would you kind of describe that for yourself?
For me, again, the same thing with Chrisy. You hear the same thing, but you pick up on new things. You do different perspectives. I think you also, when you're explaining it, you explain to where we're at that moment too. Because sometimes we might be struggling and we have to go back to just a simple thing. And sometimes we can build on that and adding a little emotion or, how emotion is going to affect different things or just building on like the simple thing of protein. Sometimes it's, well, how can I get the protein in the morning or how can I get protein better at dinner or on snacks? In giving us suggestions to build on each one of those basics has been very, very helpful.
Yeah. So I'm going to can I talk about your post this morning about the meatballs?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gwen posted, she bought some meatballs and she posted, the label, she posted what they are. She said, does this work if, by adding some vegetables, right? And so I looked at the label. The label is 4 meatballs. And the very first thing that I look at is the amount of protein that she's going to get out of that serving. And what I told her was, hey, let's see if we can go to like 6 meatballs because that's going to give you 21 grams of protein versus the 14 grams of protein. And at that point, we're talking more higher protein as opposed to just barely getting like that mid-grade protein. Something that we aim to get is around 20 to 30 grams of protein per sitting. That is ideal. Does it always happen? No, right? But that was specific information for Gwen. Hey, this is a great choice. How can we make it better? How can we add into it so that we're making sure that you're going to hit what you need to hit? It's not that we're specifically tracking crazy numbers for her. We're not We're not going all out and it's like, to the T, you have to hit 114.7 grams of protein. We're not doing that, but we do know that we want to get 20 to 30 grams in at a sitting. So it's understanding how do we do that without feeling, shouldn't I already know this? I've been in here for a year. Why don't I know this? I've been in here for a year. It was a very simple question and she asked it and I gave her an answer of how we can make it better. And the vegetables, whatever she chooses, they might have a little bit of protein in them. Cool. Then we add that in there. So it's just going to only better that 21 grams of protein that we're already getting. And how does it help somebody else? Well, the other people that are in the group can then see that post and go, oh, I never thought about meatballs and vegetables or something. I never thought about that. Oh, now I have an idea. That's like the whole goal. Or understanding like, hey, adding 2 more meatballs into this is going to get you that amount of protein. And then somebody else can see like, oh, I never thought about adding a half of a serving in to up that protein number. And so then they can utilize that same tool later in their own journey whenever it's applicable. So that was a great question this morning. Actually, I don't know if it came in last night or this morning, but I just saw it this morning when I was at the gym before I was getting on the treadmill. So I was like, oh, I'll answer this while I'm walking. So yeah, it's a great question. It's stuff like that we spend so much time overthinking. Is this good? Is this not good? Should I do this? Instead of having a spot to go and say, what do I do? Is this right? Does this make sense? And then you don't have to overthink. You don't have to spend time, energy, and effort trying to figure out if what you're doing is the right thing to do. You just have a place to go and say, this is what I'm thinking. Does this make sense? And then I can guide you and say yes or no. Like, hey, let's do this or add this or swap this or do something else. That's what I love about it. And then everybody can learn from it. Let's say, Ashley, what was your like favorite thing about the group coaching part? Like if you had to pick like one of the things that we do in group coaching, what would it be?
I actually really love the, like the calls that you would do where we'd talk about a topic and you'd give information. Like I always feel like I took something away from it and it can be, and I just have to comment too on like Gwen's question and your response to it. The other thing I love is like, the way to get more protein doesn't have to be so complicated. It can literally just be increasing what you're like the volume of what you're currently already eating. Like you didn't have to add in another food or add in another thing. It was just like, just have more meatballs. And you're like, oh my gosh, like things like that. Like I don't even think about that just make it so easy. Like I love those tips. I love talking about things on like a deeper level, like how protein affects your body or like how it fuels you for the day and why it's such an important macronutrient. So I think the weekly calls are great. And then I really do love the community aspect. Again, like, I haven't been in group coaching for a while and seeing Gwen and Chrisy, who I've seen in group coaching, I was like, oh my God, like, I feel like I'm seeing old friends again. Like, it's just, we're all here to help each other and what we're going through is different yet very much the same. And I think like that's just so key. It's so great being in an environment where everyone has like the same goal and wants to be their best version of themselves. So, I mean, I guess that's like multiple things that I like, not just one thing. It is kind of hard to just pick one, but
well, thank you.
There's a lot of great things about it. Yeah. You're welcome.
Awesome. Christy, what about you?
My favorite part is the weekly calls by far. I like the way to connect with everybody, if whoever can make it on, be able to ask questions and get feedback of the topic, get real topics, get information that is pertinent to everybody, what it seems like, and be able to implement it all and see if it works for you. And then return that feedback back in the check-ins. It's really nice. I love it. I love the calls.
I'm not even gonna lie, they are legitimately my favorite piece of this program. Because I could talk and talk and talk. Like we all know this, right? Like they are legitimately my favorite piece because they not only, like I said, they not only teach me like where I get feedback from you guys, it teaches me something as a coach. But honestly, it's just like where I feel my best coaching is done. It's like, I really truly feel like between those and like anytime I get to talk, that's where I feel like my best coaching is done, where I get to blab my mouth all the time. So, they're absolutely my favorite. Gwen, how about you?
Well, the calls are great. I don't get to jump as I'd like to live, but I love the fact that they're recorded, that we can go back and listen to them. And there's been many a times that I'm feeling struggling on something, I'll go back and listen to the live record, or, to the recordings that we do. And then having the group being able to ask questions from them that it might inspire me for the week. And, then we can go back and go back to the group and say, okay, we talked about this, I'm struggling with this, or this, what we talked about was really great. It really inspired me for the week. So that was really great, putting both the calls and the group aspect together. The friendship that Ashley has put together, that you do feel like you have a bunch of besties again.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's important. I know personally, when I was doing this, I talk about frequently how there wasn't really a lot of people that did this. And that I actually was a part of a group program called Memories Over Macros. And there was no calls. It was literally just by group coaching. They meant they gave everybody the same training program. They gave everybody, your own macros, and then you did check-in. But it was like a group of people that did it at once, and then you were all competing for some like cruise. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to win this cruise. It's going to be like so amazing. And I was like, but there's no education. There was nothing. It was just like, oh, when your husband comes home from Iraq, you really need to keep your shit together. Like, oh, thanks. Like, there was no fluidity of how my life looked like for 35, 45 days when my husband was home versus when he was gone for like 3.5, 4 months. And I'm like, well, I don't live the same way when he's home for 30 days. We go out. I don't have the opportunity. I don't do that for 3.5 months, And so there was no kind of like education. There was no like, I don't know. There just didn't seem to, it did not hit for me. And I was like, now I know exactly what I do not want in a group coaching program and how I would never run a group coaching program, because I did not feel that it was effective for me. And to be fair and honest, everybody that typically is in my world is a former version of me at some point. Everybody that comes into group coaching or even into one-on-one coaching has the same thoughts, feelings, behaviors, habits that I at one time at some point have had. And it's how I relate to people. So for me, it's like I want to be able to express. I know Ashley's mentioned she's not in group coaching. The other day, was that Thursday? I woke up and I got dressed and I worked out and did all the things and came home, and I was on my way to some networking event, and I literally did a let it rip, and I posted it in both the group coaching and I did my one-on-one coaching, and I got the best feedback from it because it was all about being like, this is where I'm at. This is, in all honesty, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm thinking. And I want you guys to know and understand you're not any different than me. And it doesn't matter how long you're in the game for. It doesn't matter how far down the road we're doing this. I still have the same thoughts and feelings that y'all have. And that's like what I want to portray the most in the group program. So thanks, guys. I appreciate your feedback here. The last thing I want to do is just really quickly wrap it up and have you guys tell somebody, like, why should they join group coaching? Like what it is about it, whether it's right now. The cool thing that I'm doing with group coaching this year is honestly adding in a yearly access piece to this for somebody like Chrisy, maybe, who wants to just join forever. But there's going to be 4 sessions in 2025. They're 10 weeks long. And those that get access to that group coaching for the entire year get access to me literally for the whole year. So you never have to leave the group. You get access to me the entire time. And so there's some cool things coming with that. But what would you tell somebody, we'll start with Gwen, what would you tell somebody for, if they're on the fence or they're just not really sure what it's about, what would you tell somebody as to why they should join? What makes this the program to join?
Honestly, the camaraderie, the non-competitiveness, everybody in the group, whether you're at a beginning level or whether you've been on for a long time, there is a genuine of friendship, encouragement. Everybody wants to help each other. There's no competitiveness, like it's got to, I want to be better than you. I need to lose more weight than you. It's everybody just wants everybody to be the best that they can possibly be. And there's been times where, I posted where it's negative. I'm not doing well. And the encouragement turns everything around.
Yeah.
And, you come where you are at, and everybody is so supportive. And I think that's very important when you're going into a situation like this, a group coaching or anything like that. You need support around you. You need the encouragement. The education is wonderful. It's not what I kept thinking when you were talking earlier. It's not a cookie cutter program where you're just coming in and weighing in and this is what I ate, have a 30-minute discussion and then, okay, see you next week. It's not. It's a daily thing. Anytime that you need help, there's been times where even last night when I posted that stuff about my food, I was putting it in the refrigerator. You can come at any time. So that's what I absolutely love about this group.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's something I've never heard before. You can come at any time. Like it's just an open space. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ashley, what about you?
I think for me, the biggest thing my biggest takeaway is I will tell everybody, especially when they're like, oh, you're counting macros, the food freedom and the change in my relationship with food that has come from what you've taught me has been like literally life-changing, where I felt like I was always so worried about like eating certain things or like having, like food shame, like I shouldn't eat this other stuff or I shouldn't eat this. And like learning that everything has a place in moderation or whatever. And it's like, and again, like going back to Whole30 and trying something that's so structured, it's like I've had chocolate this week and I've enjoyed it. And it's been in like a very healthy amount, let's just say, I guess, or like whatever. And so like getting rid of some of these like lifelong food habits that I've had and the freedom that comes from that has been huge. That, and I'll just echo what Gwen said about the community, like being in a space that you can be just raw and real in yourself and have other people lift you up, and being able to be so vulnerable and saying like, I'm really on the struggle bus, and then have other people that you don't even know you've just seen on calls, or maybe even like people that haven't made it on calls that just because the timing hasn't worked out. And they're like, you've got this, have you tried this? And it's just like so empowering to be with a group of people that really truly cares. Like we are all going through very similar things and want to be our best version. And, it's like, that's the power of community, is when somebody is down, you have other people to lift you up. So I think that's like just huge and has been super, super helpful.
Yeah. Thank you. I think that there's this, other sentiment, Chrissy, we're going to get to you in a second. This other sentiment too, I want to also say Gwen the other day posted her win. And it wasn't just like, here's my win. It was also, what is your win? I want to know what your win is. This was my win. What's your win? And it's so much more even just about the struggle piece. It's also about acknowledging the very small things that we don't think matter, that we don't think make a difference. Whether it is just, oh my gosh, I got in a 10-minute walk today. Oh my gosh, I actually just went to the grocery store and bought my meals or bought my food or whatever that looks like. Oh my gosh, Chrissy, I made it to the gym. I got to the gym. It wasn't my best workout, but I did it. Or I got more than 2.4 hours of sleep, something like that. It's about those moments too, in the very small moments that we don't think matter are just as important as the big, quote unquote, falling off the wagon and doing all the other things. We also don't acknowledge ourselves when we're doing really good. And I think that that's what I really try to portray in the group coaching, especially in the check-in moments where it's like, look at all these great things. Yeah, we might be struggling here or might be having a hard time here, but like, let's look at all the other things that we don't think are a big deal that are huge. Like that's a big piece. And I really appreciated Gwen's like, hey, here's my win. what's your win? It wasn't all about Gwen. Gwen wanted to know about everyone else too. And that only is going to encourage Gwen to keep going and do better too. So I just wanted to shout that out because we were talking about the struggle piece, and knowing other people are struggling are huge, but also being able to share our wins without feeling like we're bragging, like we're boastful, like whatever, and making a big deal about it those are just as important. So thank you for that, Gwen. I just want to point that out. But yeah, I think, Ashley, you talked really quick too about food freedom. People don't see macros as freedom. People see macros as very strict. And once you realize what you can actually do with macros and how to utilize them, I mean, Whole30 could be considered too strict. Intuitive eating, depending on how you feel about it. It's all really about how we feel about the thing that we're doing. And understanding that really at the end of the day, it's just like, how do we become, like Ashley keeps saying, the best version of ourselves, and what does that look like for us? So thank you. All right, Christy, you're last because of course you're my OG. You're my bomb diggity bitch over here. So let's hear what would you tell somebody and why they should join?
I have tried to get my friend in, and every time that I do, I keep telling her, I got in with no expectations. I just got in because I needed help. I didn't know a lick of what I thought I did in the healthcare world or in the health world, that I knew I needed direction. When I came in, I look back on how I was a hot mess express. I was in pain. My food was out of whack because of my accident. I can't taste, I can't smell. So I, on that level, was so out of whack. I didn't understand that the food that I was putting in actually had an impact. I knew it, but I didn't feel it. So when I was taught that protein mattered, water mattered, sleep mattered, all of these puzzle pieces started fitting in together. And they have made my life tremendously better. I have gotten more sleep. I know some days it doesn't seem like it, but I'm more conscious of the things that I wasn't conscious of before. I'm conscious of the sleep that I need. I'm conscious of the food that I have to put into my body. I'm conscious of everything else, movement and exercise. I have made exceptional leaps and bounds in getting to the gym.
Yes.
Which I was definitely afraid of.
Yes.
And I was able to get there by encouragement, and everybody in the group that I saw was making advances, and I'm like, I can do this. I can do anything. And then everybody in the group, I see everybody in the same, like, they're winning and they're bringing all their things to the front, and that makes me want to talk more. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have a hell of a story. I remember when we got on a call together, I was just like mind blown by your backstory. And since you kind of brought it up, there's this real thing about us where, Christy, she mentioned this accident. She's been deathly afraid to get into the gym. And we've been working through that mental block that she's been having on getting into the gym for herself. Because she is, and it's a real thing. And I think that a lot of times, instead of it allowing ourselves to acknowledge like this fear is real and it matters, we try to say, but it shouldn't. And really, what's wrong with you? And why can't you just do it? Like, what's the matter with you? Instead of saying, no, like this thing is real. There's a reason you feel this way and it's okay. And letting that sit with you. Wildly enough, this random stranger in this Planet Fitness group was like deathly afraid about going to the gym because she was going to get judged as hell. She's like, oh my gosh, everybody's going to look at me. Everybody's going to stare at me. How do I not feel so anxious? How do I not? So she made this huge post, and I just said, you're not getting out of it not feeling this way. You're going to feel anxious. You're going to feel uncomfortable. Allow yourself to go into it. Say, this is hard because it's hard. This is going to be difficult because it is difficult. And so then she ended up tagging me in some random post. I don't even know who this woman is. I don't know who this woman is. She's a random stranger. But it's the principle of saying, like, this is the coaching piece. That's how we coach in group coaching. So you're trying to get your friend to join? She won't join? Come on, friend. Christy's friend. Come on. Come on, friend. No, I mean,
I've tried.
No, and I mean,
I'm trying.
You know what? But we all have to get there on our own time, you know, and that's important
Mm-hmm.
too, is that everybody has to make that choice for themselves in that moment. So, as I always say, I'm not here to pull anybody in. I'm not here to beg. I'm not here to get people just to sign up, like sign up because you want to, sign up because you're ready to make a change, you know, and that's really what's most important. Is there anything anybody wanted to say before we wrap it up, close it in, sign, seal, deliver it? Everybody good? Good? Okay. I know y'all can't see me because my stupid camera dipped out on me. You'd be getting like thumbs up and weird ass faces from me. So that's what it would be. So, all right, Gwen and Chrissy and Ashley, I just want to say thank you for coming on here and kind of showcasing what group coaching really is all about. If you guys are interested in group coaching, the link for the waitlist is open. It's live. It will also be my Black Friday sale. So the link for that is going to be posted up this week. We're opening it up early, and it's a bangering offer. It's for 10 weeks. We actually start January 6th, but you get instant access. So you're going to come into the group. I'm going to do 2 calls that month, which I decided to go ahead and add on. I've decided to add a little Let It Rip into that December buy-in too, because I just feel like I got really great feedback from that. And the ladies were really thankful and grateful that they understood, like, you're not alone here. So, all right. If you have questions, let me know, reach out. Otherwise, I will catch you guys on the next episode.